Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper Party leader, is clearly undermining Raila Odinga. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is clearly blackmailing Raila Odinga. And Kalonzo is also frustrating Raila Odinga's bid of becoming the next president of the Republic of Kenya. I'm saying this after interrogating Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka's latest moves within the political circles. And for those who've been on this channel, I've always stated here severally that personally I have a soft spot for Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And that if elections were to be held and Raila Odinga is not on the ballot, the second person I'd easily vote for as the president of the Republic of Kenya is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. But the question is, why would Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka blackmail or frustrate Raila Odinga? Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka can frustrate or blackmail Raila Odinga for three main reasons. Because I want to give you guys compelling reasons why Kalonzo, actually the evidence that Kalonzo is frustrating Raila Odinga. Why would Kalonzo frustrate Raila Odinga? Number one, Kalonzo Musyoka feels that Raila Odinga betrayed him. That in this election, he's the guy who ought to have been on the ballot. That they had an MOU. I don't know much about that, but I always believe that in politics, the only thing which is constant are two, which is interest and betrayal. So betrayal is always part of the game. So Kalonzo Musyoka believes that Raila Odinga ought to have supported him in this election. Number two, Kalonzo Musyoka has the numbers. If you are looking for someone who can give you 2 million votes, Kalonzo will give you that. And Kalonzo Musyoka believes that with those 2 million votes, he can make Raila Odinga the president. And that without his support, Raila Odinga cannot become the next president of the Republic of Kenya. So he has the numbers. Number three, I also strongly believe that Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka could be, without his knowledge, used by William Ruto to frustrate Raila Odinga's bid for the presidency. But why do I believe that Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is being used or is frustrating Raila Odinga or undermining his bid for the presidency? Let us look at these 5 things. The first issue is the issue of the running mate. If you follow politics, you'll realize that Kalonzo Musyoka was Raila Odinga's running mate in 2013 and 2017. After the last election, there was a fallout within NASA. Kalonzo Musyoka pulled himself out of NASA. Weta and Mudavadi also pulled themselves out of NASA. Raila Odinga then focused on his bid. Raila Odinga, after the handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, focused on his presidential bid. So he started the Azimio la Umoja movement. Then Kalonzo Musyoka on the other side was going on with One Kenya Alliance. And Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta had a clear strategy on how Raila Odinga was going to be made the president. Of course, the other sides were also scheming, like the idea of pulling Mudavadi and Weta out of Azimio of One Kenya was a shocker to both Uhuru and Raila. So Raila Odinga was already the presidential candidate. So after Mudavadi and Weta left, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka was left alone in One Kenya Alliance with Gideon Moi and Cyrus Jirongo. And of course, Gideon Moi is a forthright guy, straightforward. For him, he's supporting Raila Odinga. So Kalonzo Musyoka had no option but now to lead the entire One Kenya Alliance to Azimio. So when he joined Azimio, I don't know the details of their meetings. What I know is that President Uhuru Kenyatta is in charge. So when he joined Azimio, he started demanding for the running mate. You know, it's not wrong for Kalonzo to demand the running mate. Personally, if you ask me, Kalonzo Musyoka makes the best running mate for Raila Odinga. Although there's this issue that the running mate should come from the larger Mount Kenya region, but for me, Kalonzo Raila ticket would be the best. But the way Kalonzo Musyoka is making these demands is shocking. You know, when Raila and Uhuru, when the news that Raila and Uhuru had formed a team which was going to look at the suitable candidate for the running mate, Kalonzo Musyoka rejected that name. Then recently, Junet Mohammed issued a statement, and in that statement, Azimio One Kenya decided to form a committee. And I can remember Wamboa Makau was one of the people appointed there. But Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is still insisting that if he's not appointing the running mate, then Raila Odinga cannot become the president. That's not the issue. But he's still also insisting that if he's not made the running mate, then he's still going to announce his next course of action or next move. My thought is that by the time Kalonzo Musyoka was joining Azimio, probably he had agreed with Uhuru and Raila that he was going to be the running mate. Or if not the running mate, probably they had agreed on how other things were going to be made. So the way Kalonzo Musyoka is demanding to be made the running mate, in my view, is suspect for me. He can put those demands, he can demand them, but not the way he's doing them in funerals, in public meetings, in church, you know. So that's number one. Now, the second thing, let us look at Mike Sonko's entry into Mombasa gubernatorial race. Of course, it is Mike Sonko's constitutional right to contest for any political office anywhere in the Republic of Kenya. He can even come and contest as a governor of Kisumu or as a governor of Nandi. But Azimio has rules. And also there are some things which make logics. Sonko comes from Machakos, which is just next door to Nairobi. He was kicked out of Nairobi because, I think he was kicked out of Nairobi because of vested interest in Nairobi. So which means he won't be allowed in Nairobi. So the best place for me for Sonko would have been to contest in Machakos. But Sonko is not running in Machakos. What has happened is that Wiper has gone to Mombasa and issued Mike Sonko with a direct ticket. Why are they doing that? My thinking and understanding is that someone somewhere believes that Sonko can help UDA win that seat. That he can come and win or split the support of Azimio. And that's why the Wiper party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, decided to overlook his only member of parliament from the coastal region, from Mombasa, Ali Mbogo, who was also running for the same seat. So I tend to think that the entry of Sonko in Mombasa is part of that strategy. And that's why yesterday I saw Abdul Swamad Nasir, the ODM gubernatorial candidate there, challenging Kalonzo Musyoka to go down himself because he's the one who is fighting him. The truth of the matter is that Mombasa is a non-ODM zone. So if ODM is sponsoring a candidate there, why would Wiper shop for a candidate? So I'm looking at that entry of Sonko in Mombasa just from the same lens Abdul Swamad is also looking at it. Number three, the third thing is demand on Ukambani governors. You know, when Sonko was not part of Azimio, when Kalonzo Musyoka was not part of Azimio, the task of selling Azimio and selling Raila Odinga's presidential bid in Ukambani was left on the shoulders of three governors. Governor Professor Kivutha Kibwana, Governor Mama Charity Ngilu, and Governor Alfred Mutua. So when Kalonzo joined Azimio, he found those people. The first thing he did was demand that Azimio had to change the name. So the name was changed. So he found these 3 governors there. Then he's insisted that these 3 governors should not sit anywhere near Azimio. The other day you saw Governor Professor Kivutha Kibwana leaving Azimio, or not leaving Azimio, but withdrawing from all political activities of Azimio because he was blaming none other than Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. That Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka doesn't want him to do anything in Azimio. So he decided, okay, for peace to prevail, I'm not going to do anything. The truth of the matter is that Kalonzo has the Ukambani vote, but Raila Odinga would also want a situation where he has his people who believes in him. And some of these people were the 3 governors. So if he's coming with this demand that the 3 governors should not participate in Azimio activities, what will happen tomorrow if he decides to leave? Or what will happen if someone will decide to penetrate his camp? So I think for me, Raila Odinga should not let the 3 governors down. He must stick his neck out for them. Of course, Ngilo is one of the council members, but Professor Kivutha Kibwana and Alfred Mutua, they might have their weaknesses, but these 3 governors of Ukambani have stood with Raila. So edging them out at this hour because Kalonzo Musyoka wants is basically undermining Raila Odinga's bid. Because for Kalonzo to succeed in Ukambani, or for Azimio to succeed in Ukambani, they needed all the 3 governors and all the factions in Ukambani brought together. Then they'll be able to consolidate the region. The 4th thing which now shocked me is what Kalonzo Musyoka and his party, the demands they are putting on Nairobi. You know, in Nairobi, there's a lineup. The gubernatorial candidate is already Polycarp Igathe. The running mate is Kaloki, the Wiper guy. Then these guys used scientific methods and arrived at constituencies which are predominantly Jubilee and the ones which are predominantly ODM and Wiper. So in that list, there's one constituency which is perceived to be Wiper, Embakasi South. The former member of parliament for Embakasi South is Imrad Somra, a good friend of mine, by the way. And Somra had the potential of recapturing the seat back again. But you see what's happening? The Azimio decided that the seat is going to be preserved for Wiper. But Wiper are now laying claim to other seats. That zoning is not right. Why are they doing that? Which takes me to Langata. In Langata, in the last election, ODM had confusion, but they sponsored a candidate at last minute. Wiper had a candidate, Judith J, who is a Luo, by the way. And a friend of mine who was very senior in Wiper by that time, I think Hassan Omar, was telling me that at some point they tried to prevail upon Judith J to step down because there was no way she could perform. Unknown to them, there was an unholy alliance within a Wiper leader, Judith J, to run, to split the NASA votes at that time. If you added Judith J's votes and those of Omoke would have easily defeated Nixon Korir. So the idea of supporting Judy, of course, the funding she was getting was from the office of the deputy president by that time. So that's what they want to do again in Nairobi. Because the lineup has already come up, other parties are told, don't sponsor this, don't sponsor this. But Wiper now wants to sponsor a candidate against Babu Owino. They want to sponsor a candidate in Madare. They want to sponsor a candidate again in Langata. And they've dismissed that zoning. Of course, they know so well that they don't have the numbers to elect. You see, even in Mombasa, Ali Mbogo won not because Wiper had numbers, but because Ali Mbogo was able to convince people to vote for him. Changamwe is where most people thought that Wiper had the numbers. When votes were cast, Wiper did not even win a member of the county assembly. But now they are demanding that in Nairobi, which they never won in 2013 without zoning, in 2017 without zoning, now they believe that they have the numbers to win those constituencies. And the last thing, in my view, was Kalonzo Musyoka's activities in One Kenya Alliance. One Kenya Alliance joined Azimio because of the efforts of two gentlemen, Gideon Moi and Cyrus Jirongo. Kalonzo Musyoka dragged the alliance until it reached a point when I remember it took the KANU Secretary General Nick Salat to tell off Kalonzo. Otherwise, in my view, those are just efforts to blackmail, undermine, and frustrate Raila Odinga's bid. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Thank you, guys.